don't know how I ran into this book now, but I am so happy I ran into this book. I guess I was looking for some books, but the book is Reality is Not What It Seems by Carlo Rovelli, a physicist, scientist, quantum gravity bias. So this book is kind of way different than what one would imagine, what a scientist would essentially, write about. Not only the theme, yeah, the reality is not what it seems. I kind of thought maybe he goes into metaphysical, spiritual realm and all that stuff originally, kind of combined science and spirituality, sort of. But that wasn't it. It was more about historically how science and quantum physics or quantum gravity, which is what he gets into a lot, starts with, or the guy named Greek philosopher or scientist, whatever thought leader. I'm not exactly sure. I never heard of him before. Democritus. Damn it! I gotta go look in the book and read it again. But anyway, he's the original one, according to Carlo Rovelli, who proposes the whole quantum or that whole atomic integration or electrons, atoms, and all that stuff. And then, Aristotle kind of forwards it or kind of theorizes it, so on and so forth. The bottom line is all that is essentially the historical view of not everything exists in a vacuum. Everything is a sequence of things. In that sense, Carlo, I guess, because he's more in the Western world and all, maybe he hasn't read other texts thousands years old. Like there are mentions of atoms and everything in like old 5,000-year-old texts, and I believe not only in uh, the Indian old texts, Vedas and stuff. But I believe something like that exists in Torah. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't read Torah, but I've heard things about Torah that are read excerpts of Torah that says that it's far advanced than, just a religious text. So anyway, I could be wrong. And then you can go to even the Zoroastrian, I mean, people think Iran is Muslim country, but it's not. Originally, it wasn't. It was Zoroastrian, or it was more of a spiritual culture, I would say, or I don't know, religion, whatever you want to call it. Just like people mistake, you know, Indian Hinduism for religion, it's truly not. Even people in India think that, but it's not. It's Sanatana Dharma, which is more of a belief system and a set of, I guess, a culture, whatever you want to call it, because there's truly no one God kind of a concept there. Anyway, but the bottom line is Carlo Rovelli goes into the quantum physics, quantum theories, quantum history of quantum, and then also gravity. Because the reality is, if people know about quantum physics and quantum theory, reality is not what it seems. Reality is by the perceiver. Because every quanta or everything travels at multiple paths, and what path it obtains is based on the observer or observer effect, something like that. I'm not explaining properly. But that goes into the whole gravity portion too, because everything is a particle. So one of the unique things, I don't know if I ever heard before, but time. We all know, or maybe you've heard before, if you haven't heard before, is time is relative. It's not static. It depends on where you are and how you are and all that stuff and how you perceive, even as a person. Because, if you're meditating deep into meditation, sometimes time will like fly like that. If you're a meditator, and then sometimes it like, say, meditation might feel like forever. So it depends, right? How you are, where you are, what you're thinking. So one of the things he says is even not science proves it, is if you're in a mountain versus a ground level, time is definitely not the same. The person on the mountain will age faster than the person at the ground level. So gravity, same thing. Like if you're in, this is probably known, but if you don't know, it's in the black hole. So black hole, if you're trapped in the black, not in the black hole, but outside the black hole, just trapped, and then you're trying to pull away, one of the things he explains is an hour there might be hundreds of years outside that pull, which is dramatic, right? So time, that means the gravity, it's, anyway. So that's what he goes into. The main thing is I'm not able to explain properly. I might have to actually, find the audible and listen to it multiple times. Because there's so many things in there that kind of flew over my head because it was physics and, formula and all that stuff, Planck theory and Bohr's, Niels Bohr's and Einstein. And then there's several other scientists probably not well known among regular people that have done breakthroughs that cause where we are now. And one of the surprising things, I guess maybe the things I didn't know, was that many of these theories, quantum theory and all, have proven over and over again. At the same time, there's still a lot of unknowns, right? But what I didn't understand is mainly what he says is, or kind of points out is, because of whatever the theories, because they were proven wrong, like the radio, all that stuff. So many things have been discovered or created or invented because of that. So the bottom line is, he goes into why reality is not what it seems. What you think it is, like the time obviously is not that time, because when you are traveling, jet lag wise or whatever, you're traveling into the future or the past, sort of, right? And if we accelerate it tremendously in the future, wherever, Elon's, the rocket thing that takes an hour to travel thousands of miles, maybe that happens in the future, and then all of a sudden time is definitely relative. So reality is not what obviously will be seeming, because what is future and what is past. Anyway, it is not, I wouldn't say it is a totally easy book to read, but also it's not too hard to understand most of the stuff what he's talking about. Hard to remember, perhaps, because I'm having a hard time remembering everything in it, so I might have to read it again or maybe listen to it multiple times to understand it, the nuances on what he explains. But I would highly, highly recommend reading this book, though. Reality, I guess I'm getting a glare and you can barely see the book name. But The Reality is Not What It Seems by Carlo Rovelli. I would say highly recommend reading. So, hope that helps.